Hello and welcome to java9s.com. I'm Srinivas. In this session, I'm going to talk about the wrapper classes in Java. So let me give a small introduction about wrapper classes here. Wrapper classes help in wrapping the primitive data types into objects. So you should remember an important point here that the primitive data types in Java are not objects. They are implemented like in C data types. So that's the reason why Java is said to be only 99% object-oriented rather than 100% object-oriented programming language. And also wrapper classes help in terms of conversion. That means they can be used to convert from primitive data types to string and string to primitives, and you can also convert between one primitive to other primitive data type as well. So we'll see how these wrapper classes can be used for the conversion. So if you're going to work with wrapper classes, you should be using their constructors to create the wrapper objects. So we'll see what constructors are offered. You can see that every numeric data type has two types of constructors, which one accepts the string, the other constructor accepts its own data type. So each and every numeric type has string as one of the options, and double has float, double, or string. So you can either pass a string to one of its constructor and get a wrapper object, or you can pass the direct primitive data type to get a wrapper object. And you should note that for character it is only char because string is nothing but an array of characters, which does not make any sense to create a character object using a string. So you should remember that character class does not have a constructor which takes string, and boolean is just like normal. It accepts a string. It should be either true or false, or it can be directly boolean type. So let me explain a small example about why do we need wrapper classes. Basically, where do we need most of the times these wrapper classes is that if you look at the simple system, say this is a Java application, and we might be interacting with the other applications like a database or some other application. So when data is coming into the Java environment from these systems, the data is going to be given in the format of string, and we use wrapper objects to convert this string to a primitive data type, and we can use these wrapper objects to convert from primitive to string as well to send the data back. So basically you should understand that the interaction between the systems is through string, and wrapper objects are used to convert into primitive data types and all. So wrapper objects help in terms of help a lot in terms of conversion. And let us see what the process of creating wrapper objects. Basically it is straight forward. Using new operator, you can pass an integer value here, or you can pass a string to this constructor, and you can get an integer object. The other way is to use its static method, value of method, which accepts a string to return an integer object. Basically, some of the tools recommend this particular way of creating wrapper objects, because using new operator would create objects on the heap, whereas using this method will directly return you an object into the stack. So this will actually save in terms of memory, or saving the heap size. Then you should also remember that this particular method has no overloaded version which takes an integer type. That means there's only one method into these wrapper classes which accepts a string. So when you have a string, it is better to use this method to create the objects. So this particular method is not available. So coming to wrapper objects, you should remember the most important point, that wrapper objects are immutable. That means once you create a wrapper object with a value or a primitive data type inside it, you cannot change that core value of that object. So they are immutable. So if you look at the documentation of these primitive data type classes, or sorry, the wrapper classes, they are marked as final. That also implicitly means that you cannot extend these classes to implement your own methods, or override the methods that are there in the integer. So two things: the wrapper objects are immutable, and also they cannot be subclassed. These classes cannot be subclassed. So the one way is to create objects is to use the constructor. And here this particular statement creates an object with value 30 inside it, and this line will create another object with the value 25 inside it. So you should not think that because I'm now using new integer of 25 here doesn't mean that I'm changing the value of it. All I'm doing is I was referring to this object. Now from this statement, I is actually referring to this object instead of this one. So that means this object is unaffected, and I is just referring to 25. So it is important to remember that wrapper objects are immutable. Next thing is about the important part is about the conversion. I have told you that wrapper objects can help in terms of converting a primitive to string and string to primitive data type. We'll see some of the utility methods which can be used for these purposes. So first method that can be discussed is about parse method. I have used XX to represent that each and every data type has its own method, something like this. Parse for byte, it has parse byte. For short, it has parse short. For integer, it has parse int, something like this. So this particular method takes a string and returns a primitive data type for primitive data type. So if you have a string which you want to convert into a primitive data type, then you can use this method to get a primitive data type out of string. But please remember, this particular method is not available with character because it does not make any sense to take a string and convert it into a character. So other than that, all the wrapper classes have this method. The next method is value of. We have already discussed about this, that this particular method takes a string and returns an wrapper object. So here you can see that each and every wrapper class has a value of method which accepts string and returns you the wrapper object. And you should remember that the value of character accepts a char instead of string. So that's a point you have to remember. Other than that, everything is normal with this method. So this particular method help to convert a string and returns an wrapper object. So this is an effective way of creating objects instead of using new operator. This is a static method. So the other point you should remember is that any method that takes a string in the wrapper classes can throw number format exception. If you send an invalid number format, obviously these are going to throw a number format exception for you. So you should be able to handle that, but that can be a runtime exception. So the next method is the method called byte value, short value, or int value. The respective wrapper class has its own type. So this particular method returns the primitive data types from the wrapper objects. That means you should have an wrapper object already inside it with you. So all you do is just you use i.byte value or i.short values you say to that object to get the core value that is stored inside it as a primitive data type. So using the wrapper object, you can get the primitive data outside. So all you have to ensure that when you try to assign a bigger data type or return a smaller data type, there might be a problem in loss of data. And remember, these particular methods are available in most of the numeric types. That means you can see that integer wrapper class can have a byte value, short value, long value. That means you can use these particular methods on a data type and can get a different data type out of them. The next thing is that just take a look. I've told just to give a summary about how the conversion can happen. I told you that the wrapper object can be used to convert from string to primitives. Here, when you start from the primitive data type, all you have to do is use a new operator and create an wrapper object, and you will get a wrapper object, and from that you can use toString method to get a string, and from string you can use a value of method to get a wrapper object. And again, if you have a string, you can directly get an primitive data type using parse parse byte, parse short methods. So this is how you can achieve the conversion between the string to primitive data types. There's another method with an argument called radix. This method is used when you have the data in the format of hexadecimal or octadecimal or binary format or whatever. So when you pass a string here, you should also mention a radix stating that in what decimal format it is. That means when you say 2, it is you're telling that it is in a binary format. When you say 8, you're telling to wrapper class that you're passing it in an octadecimal format. So it will take in that, it will start reading the string in that format and start evaluating the values in that way. So you can use this, but most of the time we go with a decimal format, so we generally have a string version of it. 99% of the time we use that method instead of this. So radix is the base you mentioned to the method to indicate in what format the string has been passed. So just to summarize about the uses of wrapper classes, 90% of the time the wrapper classes are used to create the objects from the primitive data types to be stored inside the collections. Wrapper objects gives the ability to convert from one decimal system to another decimal system. Conversion from object to string or other numeric types is also possible. So keep the theory apart. Let me explain. Let me show you a small demonstration about the wrapper class. Here you can see that I have created a wrapper demo class, or I'm going to create an object here. So just new integer of 30. So you can see that I'm creating integer I2 is equal to new integer of, say I'm using string this time to say 26. Then I will just use this int I is equal to I dot parse int or just int value to get integer data type, and then I will use string I value to get the string. It's just straightforward. When you use toString, you will get the string, and I can create integer I3 is equal to I can use integer dot value of say 45. So that's one thing. Then I can use int x is equal to integer dot parse int of 32. So I'm just gonna print all the values. We'll see string.out println. So if we don't have any exceptions, everything is executing fine here. So out here first, let me print I value I. So I'll just say I here. Then here a value, and then just use some gap, and I'm saying I value and print I value here. Then I can concat, then hyphen, then we'll print I3 value here, I3 dot to string, to print it as a string. Then we have x value here to print the value of x. So that's all. So let me check if there's any problem here. I'll just use a semicolon to show the value. Colon. So out here everything looks fine. So let me save this into new folder wrapper. So demo.jar then files, save it. So now going to execute the command prompt. So I have to navigate to my folder, cd okay, it's compiled. So wrapper demo, yeah, you can see that this particular line I4 is 30. Obviously I4 is 30 because I'm getting the value from integer I. Then I value is 30 because I'm also getting it from I. Then I3 is 45, yes, because I'm using toString, and X is 32 because I'm creating it from this part. So you can see that these utility methods help to parse between the primitive to string and string to primitive data types of wrapper objects. So that's all for this session, and thank you. You can download the PDF of this presentation from java9s.com. If you like this session, please give your feedback for this video, and you can follow me on Twitter at java9s. You can subscribe to my videos on java9s channel. Follow me on Facebook as well. I have a page, Java9s, so you can like the page to get the updates of the future videos. Thank you.